All right, welcome everybody to Wharf District Council's February 18th, 2025. It's very cold out and so everybody's comfy in here. Zoom, I hope. Please. We're going to start out with our meeting as we usually do with an update from our friends from the A1 Police Department.
Either come over here.
Sure. Yeah, actually, you want to speak into this microphone if you will, and I think that'll make people.
Thank you, Mark.
Stephen, how are you?
I'll be brief. I just have 4 reports to run through here, nothing too crazy, so.
Can I get a thumbs up if we can hear? Okay? Okay, great.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Hope you're staying as warm as you possibly can. Like I said, I'll be brief, let you guys continue on with, Councilor Coletta, maybe.
Yeah.
Some stuff, so
You do
more
such a-
important stuff
you
than
do
we
such-
have, but
Such a good job in this area that you don't really.
that we don't have much.
Yeah,
Well-
we like it that way.
Well, you guys are great, so, not much to worry about. We had an individual that was, jumped, like 3:30 in the morning on February 6th. Obviously late at night, he was from the UK, bar hopping around, just kind of got late, intoxicated, became a victim, like 3 to 5 individuals. Beat him up pretty good and robbed him of his cell phone. That was over at like 89 Broad Street in that area. I was just robbed of his cell phone and taken over to Mass General for further evaluation. But like I said, he was a tourist and seems like he just had a little too much to drink, and obviously doesn't mean for him to be a victim, but you just really have to be careful, especially out at that hour, just kind of stumbling around. Aside from that, 4:30 p.m. on Thursday, February 6th, we had a vandalism over at 1 India Street in the apartment building over there.
Right here.
Sorry. So within that building, they had a guy who recently moved there, I believe it was early February. He took the unit without even looking at it. Property management said, rented it without even looking.
Wow.
And since then, there were multiple complaints of in the mailroom packages being stolen, mail locks being picked, and they went back on surveillance and saw the guy doing it. So not too bright, but seems as though they know who it is. Or just robbing from his neighbors. Great.
What building was that?
That's at 1 India.
1 Indian.
Yeah. So. And then the Intercontinental Hotel, just another kind of larceny within 4:30 p.m. Friday, February 14th. We had an employee there that was somewhat of an intern going for a supervisor position. I guess, I don't know, like $1,000 referred to as their bank, and they give you a box and you're supposed to be able to handle the money kind of type of thing. I don't know too much about it, but that's what the report states. So basically working within that $1,000 that they have, and then they were terminated, this employee, and the $1,000 was gone. It was not placed back into the bank. So that's just another one kind of from within. A lot of our larceny type crimes end up down here in the district. A lot of them are either former employees or, people that live in the building type of thing. So, and then lastly, we just had a vote B&E. There was 1 in the morning, Wednesday, January 22nd. We had a call for a B&E, 87 Commercial Wharf. This guy sees someone kind of walking along the docks, hears some noise on his boat. He shines some light on the guy, can see his face, calls 911. The guy kind of scurries along. We get there. Security was great. After reading this report, they were a huge help. Boston Yacht Haven Security. They were a great help. They were able to identify the suspect within the premise. Informed our officers. We went over and grabbed him. He kind of had blood all over him. There were blood on other boats. Looked like some vandalism, B&E type of thing. So we tried to hit a few boats. They arrested him, transported him over to Nashua Street for B&E vehicle boat nighttime, it's the same law there, trespassing and using burglarious instrument. So good work there, and thanks for the security that was able to provide assistance. We always appreciate that. Aside from that, you guys are pretty good. You can pass it along, and if you have any questions.
Couple little things. Is Councilor Coletta coming to the end of the?
I believe so.
So the city council is working on a new ordinance involving the scooters, food delivery scooters. I will, I know it's passionate, that's pretty good. Kind of proof that, and the captain's on to it, I'll introduce him in a second. Oh, yeah, sorry. Take the microphone.
That's a little better.
Perfect, sorry, all right, there we go, I'll start over. I won't steal the councilor's thunder, I'll let her explain the ordinance that was proposed by the mayor, and it's being voted around, and then the language is being worked out, but essentially, we've heard the complaints, we've heard the gripes, we share those same sentiments with all of you, with our scooter delivery, food services, Grub Hubs and DoorDashes, et cetera. The city council is working on some legislation to help us address that. Enforcement is a serious challenge. They're much more nimble than our police cars, and they can kind of get away a little faster, whatnot. We try to get them when they're making deliveries, et cetera. So looking for some more education to tell them how to do it the right way. And then when that doesn't work, or if that doesn't work, then we'll switch to going back to the enforcement piece. I like to remind folks though that they are allowed in bike lanes. That's our biggest complaint, is that they're riding in bike lanes, and I say, good, that's where the law wants them. I say the law wants them because I personally haven't made up my mind whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the State House has decided for us. And then it's on the City of Boston's website. If you go in there, just type in the search bar, just type in scooters, mopeds, et cetera. It'll pull you up to the page and walk you right through it. The law is fairly convoluted, but the website does a pretty good job of explaining it.
Out of curiosity, what's the dividing line between what's allowed in the bike lane, what's not?
All right, so 50 cubic centimeters, so an engine about the size of like a big weed whacker essentially is what's allowed. The problem is they have these scooters that are 50 cc's, 80 cc's, 150 cc's that all use the exact same frame and the same fairings and the same plastics. So if you get a 150 cc scooter, you take a little X-Acto knife and you scrape off the one sticker. Now it just says 50 on it. I can't tell the difference if you're riding 20 miles an hour. The difference will be when the top speeds, right? But if they're riding 20 miles an hour, it's impossible to tell if that's half throttle or full throttle, depending on the engine size. So for our purposes, unless it's a Harley Davidson riding in the bike lane, if it's just one of the typical scooters that you see the Grub Hub and the delivery folks using, for right now, we're just saying it's okay, right? One wheel, no helmet, doing that whole thing, that's not okay. But if they're in the bike lane and that's the only complaint you have, that's good to go. Other than that, I want to introduce, for those, again, sorry, some unfamiliar faces, some very familiar faces. Zach Crossan from the Community Service Office, myself, Frank, and 3 other officers, and one of our civilians make up the office, and this is our bread and butter, what we do. And then Captain Driscoll, I think, is on. The captain got tied up a little bit ago, couldn't be here in person, but was able to chime in. I don't know if he can turn off his mic. Up there he is.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry I can't be there in person. One of our detectives this morning just had a really serious medical event. Has coded 3 times and is currently at the BI in really, really tough shape. So I was just leaving there, so I wasn't able to make the meeting in person. But I do ask you to keep him in your prayers and hope that he somehow pulls out of this tough spot. But just on another note, I just wanted to just reinforce what Zach was talking about as far as the scooter enforcement, and a lot of it's based on the feedback that we got from you and other community groups. So we're really just trying to push and get people into what's called voluntary compliance, meaning that they're just going to obey the laws because they should, and that's what we told them to do. Well, not what we told them to do, but that's what the law tells them to do. So that's kind of the first phase of it, and we are doing a lot of education, especially around the delivery groups where they all congregate and things like that. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to speak. Again, I apologize for not being in person.
Questions? Compliments?
No, not.
I offer compliments.
Yeah, I'll take all the compliments you want. I mean, I'll stay on for an extra.
Yeah, that's it.
You know how appreciative we are. I hope you say that. For doing doing what we cannot do for ourselves.
No, our pleasure. Thanks for having us every month and working in partnership.
Very good. Great, wonderful, thank you. I see that we have, Councilor Coletta Zapata on Zoom. Councilor, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to and, world of, politics.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize that I could not be in person. I have a family obligation directly after this, and so this works with my schedules, but I do appreciate the time. Just to come and give a brief overview of some of the work that we've done with some priorities moving forward, but want to be sure to spend enough time answering questions, going through whatever is at the forefront of your mind. I do just want to give a shout out to our incredible police officers, and my thoughts and prayers are with the police officer mentioned by now Captain Driscoll. And I have had the privilege of working with the captain even before he was captain as lieutenant detective, working on trying to protect patrons of bars and restaurants from being roofied, is the colloquial term. And so he's done incredible work, and I'm really excited that he's our captain. Just want to give a shout out to Cross, and I'm so sorry, I don't have your title in front of me and I don't want to get it wrong, but just want to give a shout out to them. We do have a slide deck. It's just 10 slides that we'll go through quickly, if that's okay to share.
Please, let me know if it's not, there you go. Should be good.
Thank you. And this is my Chief of Staff, Ellie Sanchez. We are currently looking for a North End Wharf District liaison. So if you know anybody, please send them my way. So yeah, this is I think first time I've been here, obviously this year, but we were here around this time last year. And I've been, again, having the privilege of serving this district since this got redistricted into District 1. And again, just want to give a shout out to Councilor Flynn for his partnership in serving this district, as well as our state representative and state senator, and of course, Mayor Wu. It has been an honor representing this district. I've been on the council for 2.5 years, and my commitment has always been the same, which is to be accessible, responsive, and to be a strong advocate for you in City Hall. And I always like to level set where folks actually don't really know the role of a city councilor, and that's okay. Many of you do on this call, but my role is to be your microphone in the council and to collaborate in partnership with the mayor on issues that affect your quality of life. And while I do collaborate with her, my role is independent. And so I work alongside her administration. I'm very happy to be working with Ciara D'Amico, again, who's the ONS liaison, who does a great job. But there's also a layer of accountability when we need to see improvements, or where I feel like I do not agree with the administration. And so there are many instances where her and I are in lockstep, and there have been some times where I feel like we could be doing better, and we could always be doing better. But there are many instances where there has been significant improvement in working in partnership with them. Okay, next slide. So quickly, we've assembled the entirety of our work in 2024 in an 8-page report that highlights funding wins from the budget, an overview of constituent services, policy and community initiatives, and a bunch of priorities. If you want to go to the next slide, Ellie, there's a way to use your QR code to get the entirety of it, and happy to send a hard copy to those if you want to request it in the chat. Next slide. So I always start with constituent services because this is one of my favorite parts of the job, which is helping people navigate city government. And on the screen, you'll see here a breakdown of all of the issues that we get: parking enforcement, pest control, street and sidewalk repairs. And so for me, while the nuts and bolts may not make the headlines, I know that when a constituent calls our office, it may be the most important action that they take that day. And 80% of my day is largely spent on ensuring the delivery of constituent services. And I'm very lucky. I have strong and proven relationships with some of our chiefs, our commissioners, our directors, and various staff, which enable us to provide effective and efficient support. And so we've cut through some bottlenecks to fix persistent issues like sidewalk repairs, street light repairs, trash pickups, and code violations. But I also hear frustrations of those who say that these fixes may take too long, or they feel like they haven't received an adequate response or action. And again, there's always room for improvement, and we could always be doing better. So this is really your time here, but this is, of course, isn't the last time that you'll see me. You can always call our office and we'll work in tandem again with the administration to address the issue. There have been long-term improvements. We've been dealing with long-term vacancies. If you know anybody that is looking for a job, the city of Boston is hiring. Outdated internal systems have been an issue, and there's been significant backlog issues, which make delivery slow. And so I've worked with my colleagues to push for structural improvements, and I will keep fighting to ensure that City Hall works best for everybody. Next slide. Oh, and it goes without saying, if you need assistance, please call our office. So this is an effort to get City Hall out of City Hall, although this is directly adjacent to Congress Street and of course City Hall Plaza. But we've held cleanups, coffee hours, listening tours, budget town halls, neighborhood walkthroughs. We've been visiting seniors, we've been going to all the schools, and we're always on scene when there is an emergency like a fire or a building collapse. And I'm really proud of the deep partnerships that we've built with the school leaders, family liaisons, our public safety officers, local nonprofits, and community advocates, because I believe that staying rooted in community is how we best shape policies and deliver results. Next slide. So this slide is just a small representation, and it's specific for the Wharf District, but representative of strategic breakthroughs. And it's just representative of a few key wins for the community. And so really quickly, I'll go through the top 4. So Office of Climate Resilience, this is the culmination of 2 years of advocacy for a centralized coordination hub within the city to lead efforts to fortify our coastline, to meet the sea, and protect thousands of residents and businesses, not just in the Wharf District, but across the city. And I want to give a shout out to the Wharf District Council for your leadership in this issue. I am now pointing to the Wharf District Council model as a way for other neighborhoods to now shape what their resiliency planning looks like. And a small, I think, sub point, not its own point, I understand that Harbor Towers has been going through some permitting issues, again, breaking down bottlenecks in city halls. There were delays. The resiliency project received BPDA approval, but was facing delays with ISD. It was reviewing old permits instead of the necessary amendments. And I understood that this caused a financial impact. And so there was real urgency to push the project forward so that we did not miss any work that could be done this winter or in the springtime. And so there was council support through my office in partnership with the mayor's office. We intervened to clarify the issue with ISD. After back and forth discussions, my understanding is that Commissioner Del Rio has confirmed that the matter will be resolved by next week. But please let me know if this is not the case. We will stay in touch with all of you to ensure that there's no further delays. I'm really
Guaranteed.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just saying guaranteed, we'll let you know.
Yeah, please do keep us informed. I know it's been an ongoing saga, and there's been discussions about a zoning amendment that we're looking at to help curb some of these delays moving forward. So the next bullet point, where am I? Okay, public safety and staffing. We successfully pushed forth a piece of legislation within my committee for an increase in the Boston Police age limit to address shortages. And you'll never hear me say defund the police. I know that our police officers need all the help they can get. And this was just one tool, one solution in a suite of solutions to help recruit more officers and assist with cutting overtime as well. I would get folks who had to submit a special petition in order to even go into the police academy. And it was an administrative barrier. And so this helped to cut that administrative barrier and at least give these folks a chance to succeed in the academy. And the last slide is that there have been major street and sidewalk repairs, pothole repairs. Again, I love this stuff about city government, ramp upgrades, And so I want to shout out Ciara D'Amico again, who has done a lot of work to make sure that all of the smaller fixes and bigger fixes got priority this year. Next slide. Okay, we have 2 more slides left, I think. So this is an overview of the budget amendment process and leadership. This was our 3rd year amending the city's operating budget, and it was a major power that we fought for. And a majority of these wins came directly from the community after going to each neighborhood and asking what your priorities are. And so with a majority of the council supporting, we funded the following, is what you see. And I won't go into all of them, but just to name a few highlights: English language classes for parents, trash containerization investments for rodent mitigation, youth jobs and housing vouchers, pest control over time, increase in building inspectors, permitting to reduce permit backlogs, or permitting plans examiners to reduce backlogs, and then sexual assault kits and lab techs for the Boston Police Department, which was chronically underfunded over many, many years. And so the bottom line is that this budget is a reflection of our values. It's been in the news, and I will continue listening to all of you, but ultimately the budget should serve you. And with the federal cuts and chaos, I will keep fighting for investments that best serve our district and improve basic city services, while also moving some of the big policy issues along: affordable housing, climate resiliency, and quality schools. Next. Okay, and I see that there was a question in the chat about the QR code. We will definitely circle back and make sure that you get a chance to scan that. I apologize for not providing that opportunity. Okay, so in terms of council committee leadership, I'm very proud to have been entrusted by my colleagues with 2 pivotal leadership roles that provide extensive oversight into all policy matters that come before the council. Being chair of government operations and environmental justice, sustainability, and parks provides a newfound leverage to shape the best possible policy outcomes for this district and this city. And recently, I've overseen the legislative review process of various dockets and proposed innovative policy solutions to solve some of our most persistent problems. And I know that the lovely public safety officers were just talking about the moped regulations and delivery regulations. So that is through my committee. And so now I will act as the lead negotiator and last check of accountability before it goes back to the mayor for her signature. We can get into that. I'm happy to. There's been the good landlord tax abatement that was recently passed in the council. I proposed a municipal climate bank, all of that. So we can get into the wonkiness if you would like to, but for now I will go to the next slide, which is the last one. And this previews my environmental report. And so I've been pretty clear in the leading champion on the council as it relates to solving our climate crisis locally. And climate change isn't a future issue. It's happening now. We have rising sea levels, flooding, and extreme weather that threatens Boston. And the most vulnerable are going to be hit hardest. Long Wharf and the Wharf district will be hit first and worst. And so as chair of environmental justice, I published Boston Rising, Building a Resilient City on a Hill Through Local Climate Action. And it's a report that lays out local solutions to protect our city, especially if we find ourselves in a position where federal climate funding is cut. And so I'm pushing through this report the need for bold action and the fact that Boston must continue to lead on climate justice. And we'll make sure to provide enough time for you to scan this QR code. Okay, that's all I have. I know that was a lot. This is how to contact our office, but I wanted to give you an update on where we are and where we're going. Again, at the end of the day, I'm here to serve you, and my team are always available, whether it's through these meetings, at events, or out in the neighborhood. I always tell folks I love to go for a walk, maybe not in this weather, but if you'd like to get a coffee, if you want to go for a walk, I'm all ears, and I really love to listen and actually learn from the community and help it dictate what our policy decisions are moving forward. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Great, Councilor, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
I have a comment and a question. and then we'll open it up, of course. The Wharf District Council is creating a video to help encourage people to become engaged in our climate resilience effort. One of the things that will be referenced at the end of the video is what will be a newly created template for other communities to take advantage of in terms of how to create a public-private partnership to be able to work on their own communities' efforts. Of course, you know that the North End has already have theirs underway, and others are either underway or certainly everybody's considering it. And we learned a lot, and we had the benefit of some wonderful, helpful funding from the state, and we wanted to make sure that we share what we learned and the resources that we were able to develop as a result of that. So that will be available probably mid-April. And
That's excellent.
yeah, I think people will find that to be useful. My question is this whole business about the commercial versus residential tax rates and stuff like that. I know you've been very involved in that. Complicated. Can you give us an update on where we are at the moment?
Sure. So, and thank you for that question. And I really look forward to that initiative and being able to look at it and be able to share it to other neighborhoods across the city and especially in my district. So just last Wednesday, we passed the mayor's home rule petition that sought to do a couple of things, ultimately to provide relief for property owners, given that valuations have skyrocketed across the city. And so what the ordinance, excuse me, the home rule petition did is shift the levy within Prop 2.5 more to commercial property owners so that the burden would not fall on folks who are house rich and cash poor, like many of our seniors and folks on fixed income. It provided relief based on that. It provided direct relief to small businesses. So some of our smallest mom and pop stores, in the event that that commercial shift within the levy added too much of a burden onto them and their expenses. It also provided rebates to folks who were feeling the most pain based on the increase in property valuations. How quickly I forget, it's been a week, and this was my whole year going through this. There was another aspect of it, which will hopefully come back to me. But all in all, it was to provide relief, like I said, to local property owners.
So is this different from what was proposed before, and where does it go from here?
It was different. So at first, when it was proposed, last year, it just talked about shifting the property tax levy within the 2.5%. Now it has the rebates that are going to folks. There's also certain protections that we put in based on the rebates. We defined what the threshold is moving forward, that we would be providing rebates to folks. And so only if those conditions are met, that's when the city of Boston would provide those rebates. And then the small business aspect of it was something that I had considered while I was chair, had put forth. It ultimately got through in the final iteration of the proposal. And so there are many things to be proud of. And I think that there's the ultimate benefit will go to those that need it most immediately.
So does it go from here to the state? Is that what?
Yes, and I'm sorry if that's what you were getting to. It goes to the State House. So it has to pass the House, which it has 3 times. And then it goes to the Senate. And then ultimately the governor. So it has died in the Senate twice before. The rebates are something that the Senate had asked for. And so I'd be curious to see what action they take now that it is included in there as well.
Good luck.
It's out of my committee now, so I'm hopeful that it'll pass.
Well done. I was going to mention something a little bit later, but as long as we have you, I just want to let you know that what the Wharf District Council has decided to create 3 subgroups. One is for the hotels in the area. That group is going to be led by Stephen Johnson, who is going to be gathering his colleagues together to figure out what they have as common needs and hopes and and expectations from the community and from the city, and I'm sure that we will report out to you and to others as a result of that new effort. We're doing the same thing for the retailers of the Wharf District and also for the restaurants. So we will have 3 subgroups who will be meeting as amongst themselves and members of the Wharf District to try to understand what their interests and concerns are. And obviously that will be great opportunity for you to hear from them in very specific ways too. So look forward to looping you in on that.
Absolutely. And I will just add, as a granddaughter of a local 26 hotel worker for many, many years and a former restaurant worker, I really appreciate that. And will make myself available for any conversation or perspectives and advice, thoughts, suggestions that they may have.
I was just gonna say, the retail group is going to be headed by Jenny Harding.
And Tito as well.
And Tito.
Yeah.
Okay, Jenny, for those who don't know her, is the Assistant General Manager for Faneuil Hall Marketplace. And we're finalizing the restaurant chair at the moment.
Right. So other questions for the counselor?
Everyone.
Please, Matthew.
I have 2 questions, Councilor. Thank you for being here tonight.
Matthew,
Slide that over too. Sure.
Hello, can you all hear me here?
We can?
Okay, thank you, Councilor, for your presentation and for your participation in Wharf District Council's activities. And this was news to me that that there's a need now for a new North End Wharf District Council liaison. Is Jack and Bergamo, are they no longer with the city?
So they do not work for my office anymore. You still have Ciara D'Amico from the mayor's office. I want to be clear, but for my office, Jack has moved on to brighter pastures. They are doing something that is mission based, that they really care about, and so I was really sad to have them go. It was bittersweet, but we are looking for somebody that is rooted in community, that loves serving this district, loves municipal government, and generally believes in government as a tool for good, especially with some of the things that are happening at a national level. And so if anybody has candidates or has somebody in mind, I'm happy to have coffee with them.
Great. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge Jack's longtime involvement with the Wharf District Council, and so hope to have someone good fill their shoes. Thank you. And the other piece, you mentioned, my other question, you mentioned how you have become sort of a booster for, or have mentioned the Wharf District Council's climate resilience plan. When does that come up for you? What are the opportunities that you have to advocate for the Wharf District Council's plan?
Thank you for that question. Anytime I talk to my colleagues that are waterfront adjacent, and so Councilor Ed Flynn, Councilor Fitzgerald, anybody, even Rosendale has a watershed. They are actively looking at various financing models and initiatives. They are tapping into their nonprofits because, for example, in Enrique Pepin's district, that where he represents Hyde Park and Rosendale, there really isn't maybe there is, but there's no waterfront affinity organization that is leading on this issue. And so he is looking for any model that has worked in the past. And I was just having a conversation with him the other day, and Councilor John Fitzgerald, who represents Neponset and Malibu Bay down in Dorchester. And he's asking what has happened already. And I spoke about the Wharf District Council and, the financing model and ways in which to replicate it in East Boston. This is what the city of Boston has used as a model for Resilient Border Street. Now we're trying to understand, like I said, financing and how to make it work when there are not state dollars to assist in this way, but they are actively trying to match city funding within our reserves for climate resilience funding, and trying to understand what is available at the state level and what will be available at the federal level.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Are there questions in the chat? Questions?
I didn't see any, yes, see, hand raised. Indus Johnson?
Screen I'm using the words.
Is that
Hi,
it?
good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I haven't actually put my information in the chat as of yet, but I will. I just wanted to say that being here at this meeting and being here at this meeting a year ago and seeing the amazing work that everyone is doing, how involved everyone is really amazing. And Councilor Coletta Zapata, I think that you're amazing. I think that you do amazing work, and I'm sorry I had to jump in and say how in awe I am of how relatable you are with your constituents and your community, and it's very. I had to just step in and say that much. I'm just very, and I work with another city councilor, and he was there with me last year, Councilor Henry Santana. But it's so wonderful to see a community. This is what I grew up with, and under Mayor Menino, and it just to hear the way you talk about community and how you connect with everyone, hearing how much everyone misses Jack. Like I had to just say something. This is really amazing, and it really touched my heart. So I just wanted to say that you guys are doing amazing work, both
Thank you.
counselor and community. You guys are amazing.
I did not plant her, I promise. Indus, your check is in the mail. No, I'm just kidding. No, and it's been great. It's been great to work with Councilor Santana. Honestly, he is his heart is in the work, and I think that's what you want. And he finds solutions. He doesn't just talk about problems. He's there to present solutions through legislative and programmatic means. That's all I'll say. Thank you, Indus.
Thank you very much. Christo?
Thank you, Mark. So Counselor, you can just assume that I also said all the things that Indus said. So put me down as a ditto. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit, so often when we're talking about climate change, what we don't talk about are some of the opportunities that we have. And I do think the Wharf District Council Plan is a good one because it talks about the different opportunities that the waterfront presents. And I think about this district in particularly the extraordinary leadership. I'm so excited, Suzanne, that she's going to be leading that group. Jenny Harding and the way she's trying to diversify the offerings at Faneuil Hall Marketplace and make it a more vibrant place for the district. The Boston Public Market, of course, the New England Aquarium. Just on the border of this district, the Children's Museum. I'm wondering, when we talk about climate resilience and projects, Counselor, is there a way to also sell it as economic development projects, and so that we can, we can have a two-pronged strategy as we approach these different projects?
Yeah, that is a great call out, and I just want to call out Joe Christo. I appreciate him. This is the leading expert in the. I wouldn't say, I mean, he's one of the leading experts. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but really appreciate Joe Christo and his work on this. I think you bring up a great point, and this is something that I brought up in my climate report, where the potential, and the city of Boston will say buoyant and resilient regardless of what happens at the federal administration. We have for many, many years. This was a point that I brought up as a way to receive federal funding from through an economic lens, right? And so talking about revitalization projects as a way to bolster the resiliency work that we're doing. And I think that there is a really strong argument, and I think it's been backed up by organizations like the First Street Foundation and other major think tanks, where the investment on our dollar is not only possible, but it's essential for the economic vitality of the city. I think one piece of data that I saw was that for every dollar invested in resiliency, you save $4 on the back end against against mitigation for any negative impacts that a flooding event would present for any business or any home. And so there is an economic argument to be made now with FEMA or the EPA or DOT, some of the funding that we had gotten. I think some of it is in our coffers. The other awards we're waiting for. But to your point, I want to underscore that and say that that does provide an opportunity. And Boston, again, is very vulnerable. We're on the Gulf of Maine. It's the fastest warming body of ocean on the planet. And there's endless possibilities, but we are very vulnerable, except 1 out of 6 miles in our city is built on landfill. So there's progress being made, and we're depending on folks like Joe Christo at the Stone Living Lab. Of course, Chief Brian Sweat is an incredible person to be in this position, leading us on this front. And if he hasn't come to this council yet, I definitely recommend that he come and provide at least a little bit of a presentation, either him or Chris Osgood, about all of the ongoing projects that they have, because again, there has been significant investment and we're moving away from analyzation and planning to implementation. And a lot of it is dependent on some of this federal funding. And so ongoing discussions about financing and funding is essential. So I'll keep it there, but I do appreciate your call out, your kudos, and look forward to working with you and everybody on this call on this topic.
Absolutely. Thank you. Councilor, thank you very much for your, I don't see any other hands. Thank you so much for your time and your ongoing efforts on our behalf, and we will continue to stay engaged with your efforts and keep our fingers crossed that you're successful with.
Matt Rubin has.
Matt has it?
I was just applauding.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. I know that this being here takes time away from your family, and it's a lot of work, and it's volunteer work, it's energy, it's resources. And so just thank you so much for everything you do on behalf of this community.
Well, keep your eyes out for the upcoming video that we have, thanks to the funding that we received a number of years ago from the Gordons. We're able to use that to good effect to create a new one that we have coming out in the middle of April. So it's a good one to help people understand the importance of what we do from as far as climate change is concerned. So thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
We have a chance to hear from Ciara to go.
Yes.
And I have
Hi,
your,
I'm over there. I have a mini
yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
Just explaining my report. Hi, everyone. Ciara D'Amico. Are we told both up?
Yeah.
Cute little official. And I also do want to just thank Councilor Coletta. Her partnership with my office is amazing. I feel like I can always call, text her whenever I need, along as well with our amazing officers from the Boston Police Department. I do have to say our community engagement officers, they answer every text and call I have no matter the time. So I want to just show you guys out in Councilor's office as well. It's what makes the community better when we all work together. So I love it.
So what I just did here.
Can you?
There.
Oh, perfect. Oh, there I am. Okay. So yeah.
Can you all see this slide full size? Those of you who are on Zoom? Somebody, anybody?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ciara.
Okay, so you have to click it as I talk. So yeah, I'm with the mayor. Yay, there I am. So I work for neighborhood services under the mayor's department. I have the pleasure of covering the North End, West End, and Wharf district. I'm born and raised in the North End, never left, and don't plan on it. So our office falls under the Cabinet of Community Engagement, and I just kind of want to give like a little dynamic of what my leadership team looks like. I know a lot of you had the pleasure of meeting my chief, Brianna Malore, our chief of staff, Beata, our director, Lindsay, and then my deputy director, Christopher Breen. He covers the North End, West End, Wharf District, Dorchester, Charlestown, East Boston, South End, and Chinatown, Downtown. So he covers a few of the liaisons. So Our office is split up in between 16, 17 liaisons, and each of them have a deputy director. So there's 3 of them now. So we kind of go up the chain of ladder. We go directly to our.
Excuse me, Mark, sorry, we're not seeing the slides right now.
Oh.
We're only seeing the email from Ciara, but not the slides.
Thank you.
All right, so let's try this again. How's that?
Yeah.
Yep, now we can see.
Great.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah. So he's my direct deputy director. So each liaison has an assigned one that they'll go to. And it just kind of works up the chain of ladder. If you need to elevate a situation, you'll go directly to your deputy director, then it gets elevated to your director, and then to our chief if needed. So our cabinet is made up of neighborhood services, which is me and all the other neighborhood liaisons, 311, which I hope everyone is fairly familiar with. And then the mayor's office of civic organizing. And for 311, we work very closely with them. Every time you guys submit something and it's directly for a certain neighborhood, if you give them an address, it gets sent to that liaison. So if you guys have a sidewalk you want repair and you submit it to 311, that case number will be forwarded over to me. If it's for the North End, Wharf District, or somewhere in the West End, that way we can help close out the case. We can check in with Public Works, BTD, any appropriate departments to see how I can help close this out. We'll get on the next, construction site, or construction plan, or see what the budget aspect is. So we work closely with 311. They're amazing, our call takers. And fun fact, when they have their staff meeting, liaisons cover the calls. So the calls are fully covered 24/7. So we never miss a minute. So yeah, maybe once or twice a month, you'll maybe catch me on one of the phones. I've had some of my residents call and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're covering for staff meeting right now, but I'll put this in my email. Thank you. So yeah, we are very hands-on with their system. So it actually gets us working hands-on with them as well too. Next slide. So yeah, our mission for our community engagement cabinet is our cabinet leads the city of Boston's work towards eliminating silos between Boston residents and City Hall. Our goal is to better connect neighborhood services, community engagement, and policymaking. We want to improve how Boston includes community voices in its works. We plan to create a new model for prioritizing constituents in neighborhood services and government affairs. We do read this mission every staff meeting as well to give us all a reminder. So that's just a nice mission statement that we like to follow, and kind of just remind ourselves what we're here for and what we're doing and how we're here for our residents, ourselves, and to make it a better community. So also these are the mayor's guiding principles. These were 3 things I learned probably like my first month in. Her 3 major steps is getting City Hall out of City Hall, which is when we host coffee hours, or like Councilor Coletta said, I love going for walks. If you want to grab coffee one-on-one, always open to that. We want to bring the resources out to people who can't always get them. Sometimes on like a Friday or Tuesday, I'll go visit different sites. I try to go to different departments, go to the BCYF centers, go to libraries, show my face and just let them know I'm there and I'm there as a resource. And then embracing the possibilities, and then getting the big things done by doing the small things right. So no matter how small or big the request is, I promise I look into it, I help advocate for it. If it doesn't get done, I do try for it and hope for the best. So no ask is ever too small or too big. And then this is something I wanted to mention. This is also an office under a cabinet, which is the civic organizing. I know Suzanne sent it in the email reminder today for this meeting. It's called Love Your Block. We have it yearly. The Wharf District, the North End, the West End all fall under April 5th. And I believe we start at 9 a.m. So this is just a good, fun way that the city comes out. We will have the tools and the resources. We do drop-off pickups for groups that want to come out and just clean the community. The North End already has 3 groups that signed up, which is pretty exciting. So they just go around to different, parks or different aspects or streets. They work together. This year we have t-shirts too. So if you sign up in time, you'll get one. And it's a fun day, a fun morning. Last year it rained, but rain or shine, we are still there. I think it's just a great way of, bringing City Hall out of City Hall. You have my office there. civic organizing. Our chiefs are there, other liaisons are there, get to meet new people and just help clean and, better the neighborhood. So if anyone's interested, I'm happy to send the link over. I also linked it right there. And that's just a fun, there's other neighborhoods that are doing it. You can probably always participate. It's the weekend after as well, too. It's
Great.
very exciting.
Great.
And then it's just one more slide. And then just to stay connected, I'm really good with my email. I find it better to do it by email, and then we can always schedule a call, because being a liaison, my schedule, which is one of the funnest things of the job, you don't always know what your day-to-day is gonna look like. You can get called into the 5th floor with the mayor, you can go to an event the next hour, you can go to a press conference in a few minutes, so it's pretty fun, or you can go meet with a resident. So I always say, email me, set some time up, we can chat, so I have appropriate amount of time to listen and hear you out. And then my Instagram, which is ONS, North End, West End, and Wharf. So there's always major updates. I know a lot of people aren't always tech savvy. I'm not really either, but I'm trying to get better at it. I like to post current updates that are happening and some Insta stories for reminders as well. But yeah, I do love my job. I'm 3 years in as of January. It feels like it's been like 25 years, but I'm a pleasure to do it. And I honestly, working with the group as closely as the Wharf District has made it a lot easier and better, to be honest. So just want to thank you all for advocating for what you guys want and what you want Boston to look like. So I appreciate it.
Great.
And if anyone has any questions, concerns.
Sarah, we should make sure that your Instagram or feeds and ours are somehow coordinated.
Oh, yeah, we could do like collabs on Instagram too. Do you run it or?
Yeah,
You said you're
Doug.
not tech savvy.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm learning.
Doug runs our Instagram page.
I believe I follow it for sure, but
So,
it's fun when you tag each other or collab in it and
Yes.
you can accept it.
Yeah.
So both followers on each page get to see it. We just did it with Boston Transportation. We put a new textile bin in the North End outside of the Nazaro Center. So clothes donations, I know we do a service where the city will pick them up as well. But if you ever take a walk over the North End, want to drop them off, it's a good way to not let clothes go to waste and they will uplift them.
they're
Yeah.
right at the center.
Yes, it's right outside, that's the mini compost bin. It's pretty big, but it fits good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, any questions or comments for me?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding,
Love your block.
Love Your Block.
Yeah,
We've never done this in the Wharf
I
District.
know, yeah.
So if folks want to participate, they should reach out to you.
Yeah, so you guys could give me a heads up that you're gonna start a group. A lot of 2 North End groups already did it, but once you sign up through that link, I'll get updated anyways, and it'll go to the civic group, civic organizing. So they'll work with like a group leader, whoever makes themselves a leader, about dropping the tools off, the time, and the location.
So essentially, you need someone in the Wharf District to be.
Yeah, if someone wants to like, just be like the point of contact. So if we have to call you to be like, hey, we're 5 minutes out, dropping the tools off, we'll meet you here, maybe something like that, just so we have a good connection between the 2 people.
I think it would be great to have a description of what it is of the hours and the tasks
Yeah,
that might be expected, and then we can put out a call.
yeah, they have a whole web page that I can send it with you too.
All right, great.
I know I sent something around.
Yeah, there was the email I sent to Suzanne, I believe she will send it, or she did send it to the Wharf District. It had a little more detail of how the day will look.
Great.
Right,
Yeah.
I didn't bring it with me, but yes.
Yeah,
But I guess, well, we can talk and then we can. send
Yeah,
something
for
else
sure.
separately, Because,
yeah.
as I said, we've never organized.
Yeah.
anything.
Like the West End does, the greatest neighborhood park, and like that's a small area, and it's also state land too. So we work with the state to have them pick up the trash after, but it's really cute. They had a few like little kids and students come out, and they were just using the pickers to pick up stuff in the grass and some plastics and just help garden. So it was a nice way to just, all be out in the morning, and that was nice weather. That was the year before.
How do you determine what area this group would work?
Honestly, the group kind of decides, like it's private, we don't tell them they can't do it. So like, I know the Elliott School's doing Langoni Park, and then they're doing the Gassy, which is T. Filippo Park. They're doing 2 different groups. And I think they might have another one that will just go around the sidewalks and do some pickups. Cause us North Enders could always use extra cleaning.
And this lasts for how many hours?
I think it's 9 to 11 or 9 to 12, so like 2 or 3 hours, yeah. It's a cute morning. Sometimes the groups will get together before and grab coffee, so great way to meet new neighbors too, if other people wanna, join in.
Well, we would be looking for a volunteer for
Yeah,
organizing. I wasn't raising my hand.
Oh!
Question. Wait a second. I saw him.
I saw him raise his hand too.
All in favor?
Yeah. So now you're stuck doing it. So I'll contact you tomorrow.
Well, I did have a comment.
Yes.
Which is
okay.
to just say that Ciara has been very helpful to me
Thank
in a
you.
number of instances where I have met what did you use, a bottleneck, roadblock, and has helped to, facilitate conversations with, some departments that may not be as responsive as others. So
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate your efforts and certainly appreciate your ongoing, consistent engagement with the Wharf District Council. So thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, like if something like you guys are wondering like, oh, this sidewalk hasn't been fixed in a while, and I know there's many that still need to be fixed, but we are slowly getting there. Or, you haven't heard back from Public Works or Boston Transportation, feel free to always flag that for me. Or if you call into 311, always make sure you get the case number back, because that is something that I can go into the login and I can look up what's stuck, where the roadblock is. Why hasn't this got pushed through? It could be a budget thing, it could be resources, it could be on their to-do list and they haven't gotten to it yet. So if you're like, hey, I'm just wondering about this, always save the case number. They can email or you can write it down if you submit something through a call. It's a great resource and it's good for statistics for us too, to see where we can prioritize like things that we need. So I'm happy to always push through something that you guys are vouching or advocating for. And I know streets, sidewalks and everything is a big one,
Yeah.
but I'm here to help.
We continue to be particularly interested in State Street. And the
Yes,
plans
yeah.
there, and we understand that Superintendent Boland is perhaps looking again at some of
Yeah.
the plans. We have a outreach to him at the
Mhm.
moment. We're hoping that perhaps we can have some influence at this point, so.
For sure, yeah. I'm happy to stay on top of that with you guys as well
Appreciate that.
too, yeah.
Thank you.
Keep that communication flowing and make sure
Yeah.
it's clear.
I know that's something that's key to
Yeah.
Bobby as it is to many of us. Any other questions for Ciara?
And it's funny too, because I feel like we work very closely with the Councilor's office. So it's funny because people used to think I worked for Gigi when I first started, but I do work for the mayor's office, but we do go hand in hand. We have a good partnership with our councilors and Gigi has been amazing since I started. So
Absolutely.
it's been great to work
And
with
since
her and
be-
her team.
Since before.
Yeah, since we were, yeah, we're close to her. Yeah, she used to work in my mom's office way before that too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, with, at the State House. So they're a great team to work with and I'm happy for our partnership.
Yeah, great.
Well, I'll just add one thing. There is a tree bed on East India Road
Mm-hmm.
that for years.
Yeah.
We have been trying to get someone to do something with it. And then every once in a while, and I've got two ladies shaking their heads, yes, every once in a while, we'll come out and somebody did something. First, it was the azalea bushes or rhododendron bushes.
And then the
then
mulch. It was there for a week.
Yeah.
It walked away.
Right, and then about 3 months ago, two trees showed up. I don't know who, but the lot itself, the tree bed, which is about the size of 3 of these tables together, it looks like hell. Can I say that word?
Yeah, it's okay. I think so.
Don't write
Yeah.
that down for you. It's recorded. Yeah.
And I know you've tried to help.
Yeah, we could take a look at the property line. Sometimes if it's private, we can't really touch it, but if Public Works has extra hands
I
on
think
deck. we
Public
could-
Works has it.
I know, yeah, I know recently they went up and patched it up. I know the Greenway was helping out with a few things too,
Yeah.
so I could take a double look at that for you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and the Greenway is awesome as well, and the aquarium too.
Yeah.
So Chris Cook and
Yeah.
Luz and everyone. You guys are amazing to partner with.
Well, indeed, we're lucky to have them, you and to have them. And Chris is
Yeah.
gonna tell us what the Greenway is up to, right, Chris?
Am I next, Mark? Am I up?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, terrific. Well, thank you for everything. Appreciate it. I wanted to give a few quick updates for folks. I'm going to drop a link into the chat in case someone can be helpful. Our hatchlings, which are, beautiful and a, seasonal activation that we have. These are the light installations that we have that throughout the park that resemble the hatch shell. And these are mini hatch shells that have wandered off the Esplanade and onto the Greenway. So they are disappearing at the end of, they're going back to their mama hatch shell, I guess. I don't know, but they're disappearing at the end of this month. So those will start to be deinstalled once the snow thaws a little bit. We can start working on that. The link I'm going to drop into the chat is for photography RFP. We've conducted an audit of our communications and our marketing expertise and channels that we have. And we want to make sure that the look of the Greenway and of course the way that the Wharf is reflected in our pictures looks as professional as possible. We have world-class art, so we should make sure the photography of that art looks, as good as the actual art itself. So we're putting out a photography and image RFP, and we're trying to get as many solicitations on that as possible so that we can select photographers that better reflect the Greenway and the beauty of the park and also your neighborhood. So if you know of anyone who might be interested in submitting a response to that, please share that link with them. I wanted to thank everyone who participated in our Valentine's activation. It was a new event that we had. We had a Valentine's activation. It was over 4 days. And even with the weather, we had great response to it down in Dewey Square. More than words activations, and we had giveaways and hot cocoa, and hopefully people fell in love and stayed in love over that. So we will continue to try to look at more winter activations for the Greenway. I also want to let people know that on this past January 29th, many of you are familiar with our Rangers, Jill and Matt, as well as our overnight security team. And I think they do a really good job engaging with the unhoused population in the Greenway and making sure that those people are connected to services. We have great relationships with the city and, of course, Bridge Over Troubled Waters and Pine Street Inn and all the regular providers. But on January 29th, we participated in the city's annual homeless census. And our area, myself, 2 volunteers from MGH and our Rangers, the area we covered was Dewey Square to Post Office Square, the entirety of the waterfront from the carousel back down to Dewey Square. And, sadly, we did encounter, a few individuals. It was certainly not as many as there would be in other neighborhoods. We were able to talk to folks. Folks did not want to go into shelter. But we talked to a total of about 10 people that evening, and we reported that as part of the city's annual homeless census. And the reason I wanted to mention that is if you see Jill and Matt in the park, they were out to 2 o'clock in the morning that night. And I got to tell you, those Rangers knew every single individual that we encountered. And it was just really, really special. These were folks who were, living on the margins, whether it's a choice or it's because of their situation. And we're just really, really lucky to have those folks working for the Greenway. And I was really, really humbled by those folks' response to our Rangers. And so just as the Greenway connects neighborhoods and people to each other through the horticulture and the public art and the programming, it was lovely to see that instead of a security function, our folks are trying to connect people to services. And so we're just keeping that theme of connection there. So it was a really humbling night that night. And the last thing is a little bit more mundane and less inspirational. If there's problems with snow removal, because since I've been here, we actually have not had a lot of snow. So this is the first appreciable amount of snow that we've received since we got here. I was a little unhappy with some of our snow removal, particularly this week, because it was a flash freeze. So if you do encounter problems on the Greenway with snow removal or you have suggestions, feel free to email me. But I did want to let people know, Ciara's right, 311 is an incredible system. if you put something in 311, even for the Greenway, it will get rerouted to me. And I personally go through all of the Greenway 311. We get, most of what we get is suggestions, and most of our suggestions have to do with dogs on either side of the issue. But when we also have, but I pay special attention to the complaints. So if you do find something you don't like about the Greenway, you can feel free to put it in 311, or you can just email me. But especially if it's about snow, because we certainly don't want anyone slipping and falling. And they're working again tonight to try to clean up what they didn't get to over the weekend. Tried to keep it brief, Mark, but happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Great. Questions for Chris?
And
We're
I'll
not-
drop that RFP in the chat, Mark.
Okay, we're not giving you an award tonight, sorry. Norm has a question.
Yeah, hi, Chris. You mentioned the snow removal, and that brought something to mind. Along East India Road, where you've got the that little garage and working area, still, and I mentioned this to you before, still too often the entire sidewalk is blocked by the trucks. And that's a specific path that people take from the aquarium to get into the garage and vice versa. And they're weaving back and forth between the trucks. So if your crews can be a little bit more mindful of keeping the sidewalk part of it clear, that would be greatly appreciated.
No, they should, and they shouldn't be doing that. So I'll follow up on that. You know, I know Mr. Chafarro is on the call tonight. He's been very gracious in working with us. We actually have spots in the garage, so they should not be blocking either pedestrian or vehicular traffic. So I'll re-engage with them on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, how are we doing with the removal of the detritus in the Trillium site?
I think not good is the answer, and I think it's going to lead to an RFP process, Mark.
Okay.
Well, it's,
Their business, the pushback is something about a business model and profit margin, and our pushback is something about a park for the community. So it's hard for those two things to coexist. But
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a solution, or maybe we'll find folks who are more willing to accommodate the needs.
Certainly did a nice job over on the Commons.
Yeah.
I don't know what, like, I don't understand.
And they're not operating there anymore either.
What?
Yeah, so Harpoon took it over last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like they're not busy as can be most of the time, so must be a good somebody, right?
well, Chris, are they scheduled to come back this year?
Yeah, this is the final year that we have them under contract.
And when will they be coming back? In April, correct?
Yep. That's right.
So they're not, it doesn't make any sense to move anything in.
Oh,
February.
there's nothing getting moved. This is about a question about whether or not they will move, or whether or not we would have a different operator. So.
All right, well, I presume the RFP will require that whatever it is that's there during the season disappear.
That would be our expectation. That would be the language.
Great, okay. Joanne?
Yep.
Thanks, Mark. Chris, I just wanted to say something in defense of your snowplow operators. This last storm, and often many storms, I'm on the 24th floor at Harbor Towers and look right down on the Greenway. And this past storm in particular, I woke up, I don't know, around midnight or so, and I looked out and I saw this poor guy. I thought, oh, he was battling the snow and it was coming down really fast, and he was, plowing, and it would just look like it filled right back on top of him. So
Yeah,
that was, and that was a hard one. But I've seen many times when I look out and this whole side of Rose Wharf is not done. A little bit in front of their driveway is, some of ours is done, and those guys have been out there. Whether this is a new company this year, I don't know, but I've always been impressed by how they are out there working in the middle of the night and working hard.
It's a
Just
good
wanted
point,
to-
Joanne. Thank you. It's a good reminder.
Something else for Chris? Joanne, while you have the floor, do you want to tell us anything else that's happening on the park?
Well, as you can see behind me, there is a beautiful tunnel of love.
I
It's-
have to say she lives in the park.
Are you one of the 10 that Chris counted?
I think so, almost. This year, we're really excited the person who created this idea, well, first of all, whoever came up with the idea of the 3 trellises is just beautiful and brilliant. And then when the park now for 22 years, the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park have decorated it in the blue holiday lights with the white trim. And again, I think it's just a brilliant idea that past president Danny Nuzzo and the electrician, 2 guys, they, according to their story, they just stood there and thought, what can we do? And that's how they came up with it. Today, I must say, I don't think it would be as easy to get permission to get it done as it is now. As hard as it is now, it must have been easier 20 some years ago. But Robin Reed, who's our art curator, she's served on the Greenway board and she's very involved in the North End. She came up with the idea of the Tunnel of Love, and the last few years, we started with 2 big red hearts, one at each end, plus the decorations in the middle and the music. And she's added, we now have 6 10-foot tall hearts, one at each end of the 3 sections. And it gives such an infinity appearance that is just, it's awesome in the true sense of the word. It is just amazing. And it's just fun to go there and just watch people walking through and dancing and holding hands and little kids dancing. And it's all, because her creativity sparked it, but it's our sponsors, some of whom are at your table tonight, and all of our members, many of whom are at your table, who make all this possible. It's one thing to have the dreams, but if you can't bring them to fruition, they just die. So thank you, everyone who helps the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park to keep the dreams alive, and the dreams of the Greenway too. That operates with a lot of help from the neighbors. So it's just a wonderful neighborhood to live in, and I'm very, very happy to be part of it and proud to be part of this group.
Great. Well, you do a great job and it's a real treasure there. I'm going to give a quick update, if I can, on one of the initiatives that the Wharf District Council is taking on. We're revising or Suzanne and her sidekick Barbara are revising our website in a number of ways to try to make it more accessible because we're getting more content. But one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a calendar of all of the events that are happening in the Wharf District. We've talked about this a lot of times. It's a real challenge because there's not an easy way to do it. But our friend Florie, who is also takes notes, has agreed to, once Suzanne and Barbara have set up the calendar, which will be ready
By the end of this month.
by the end of the month. She's going to go to the Greenway calendar and the Christopher Columbus Park calendar and the Boston Harbor Hotel calendar and
All of our members.
all of our members' calendars, and make it so that if you happen to be around some day and you want to say, I wonder what's going on in the district that I could go enjoy, you can go to one place and you will see all of those events. We will then be doing a similar sort of thing to identify all of the restaurants in the areas where, so you could, and surprisingly, if you go to Google Maps and say restaurants near me, they don't all come up. We need to have, pardon?
Depends how much you pay Google.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. Well, you don't have to pay us anything. So we're gonna be doing the same thing and you'll be able to click on it and go to see their menu and all that kind of stuff. So this is a service that we think is is worth having. It is not free. We need to put the effort into it, but it's one of those things that your memberships pay for. Those of you who are not members, there's still that opportunity. So I think that would be great, don't you? Absolutely. And you want stuff for the newsletter, right?
Right, we're going to be putting together our spring newsletter, and we've got all the names and the folks, so we'll reach out to all the members. We've done it in the past, and we get a good response.
Excellent. Just an update, I mentioned the video. We will have the video ready for airing probably end of April, I would imagine. I think it's going to help us communicate the urgency of collective action on this issue of climate resilience. And a number of people here have been already very involved in it. Certainly the aquarium and Norm and a whole bunch of other folks that will get a chance to make sure that it covers all the right topics. But we're going to have the endorsement of a number of the city leaders as well. And I think it will help us to get more people involved and hopefully increase our membership call.
Do you want to talk about the other two committees? We got the hospitality committee.
And we talked about the retail and the restaurant.
Retail and the restaurant.
Right.
What the objective is, what we're trying to do is, you look at the Wharf District neighborhood, you see that this is a prime place for tourism. And for the people who live here, I mean, we benefit from all that this area has to offer. Well, what we're trying to do is put together something that sort of corrals the key, I don't know what the word, elements of the Wharf District, the hospitality, the hotels, the restaurants, the retail aspect of it, and some of the key sites when you cross over from the wharf side to the other side. There's restaurants and little things to see and do, and that little parks that we want to make people aware of that. Almost like a walking tour of the Wharf District, basically.
Maybe we'll incorporate some of Liz's wisdom into this as well, right?
I know. Liz is giving a talk tonight.
She is, she's about to head out.
What she said.
She's about to head out.
Right.
Do you want to tell us what you're doing?
Tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you wanna come over to Harbor Towers.
Pass that.
If you wanna crash, come over to Harbor Towers, or if you live there. I'm just giving a presentation titled, How Did We Get From There to Here? Looking at just an overview of the Wharf District history. So all are welcome, and on that note, I'm actually gonna go get ready. So it's mainly a slideshow with all kinds of maps and images, and then with me blathering on the
And
side.
Liz, this starts at 7:30?
7:30, yeah. That's a segue for me to leave.
Mark, can I say something? So also, I know Liz is very modest, but for those of you at Harbor Towers, where we have 3 historical signs on our property that our board did approve and we did pay for, but the material on the board is Liz's creation, her historic research that explains East India Wharf, what it was. A nod to Harbor Towers was a fabulous picture of it under construction, and then a third one. So she's been very involved in these historic signs around the whole harbor with the Friends of the Harbor Walk. So I think tonight will be fascinating where we have, but we're the beneficiary of her expertise with the signs on our property.
Great.
Who's coming on Rose Wharf this spring?
And perhaps you we could invite you back to share.
I'll be happy to give an update.
That'd be great.
57.
Yeah, no, I mean, to come back and share with us your presentation to this group,
Be happy to do that.
that'd be great.
Thanks. Thank you.
And for those who would like a little chuckle, check out the signs at Harbor Towers. The one about Harbor Towers includes an original advertisement for renting at Harbor Towers. And you would not believe it's the same building.
How much for rentals then?
Oh, it doesn't say how much, but you know, talking about the overall quality and the lifestyle and the amenities, et cetera. Yeah, we're looking.
Great. I don't see any other content that we're supposed to cover. We don't have anything we need to vote on.
We have nothing to vote on. No, we've covered everything.
Luz has a raised hand. Yes, please, Lou.
Yeah, I'm just remembering now. I recently did an interview with Boston.com. They're doing a series of your perfect day in each Boston neighborhood. And so they asked me to do your perfect day in the Wharf District.
Okay.
Yeah, so it hasn't come out yet. We're still waiting to see it, but I tried my best to give some shout outs to different members and parks and areas. So once I see it, I'll make sure I share with you all.
Make sure we get that so we get it on our social media as well.
I think there was a question in the chat. I see.
One other thing, the Northern Avenue Bridge, I have nothing, they have not sent me anything regarding the status. Perhaps Ciara, you've heard.
I know they're on pause right now. They talked about like rediscussing it into spring, so I can keep you updated on that too, because I know they had like a whole construction plan. Probably in December, and then the last time we met, they said they were gonna hold off till like April, May, to discuss the next step, so I wish I could keep you guys updated.
Even the demolition?
It has a now, yeah.
Oh, wow.
A long pause.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was something with like their team or rather, I don't know.
It's they will be doing that, take it down, but they have no plan to replace it,
Oh, no. Oh, not at the moment.
not at the moment. Let's
Okay.
that 200,000.
So Ellie, your question asked is, and apparently the meet and greet is 7 o'clock. Fern.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I missed last month's call. I just wanted to let everyone know that I had my grand opening yesterday. So we are finally open, 5 years of being in the Wharf District. Yes, yeah, I don't even want to think about it. But 5 years, it's nice to have this call from someone that is open down there. And it's just as refreshing as always, just hearing all the things that the Wharf District's doing and trying to continue to do. So I was driving during the entire meeting. So when it came to volunteering for something about cleaning up, I might be sending an email for that, just because now I have staff that I can volunteer them to do things. If someone could email me the information on that, I would love to kind of see what that looks like and try to do our part with helping cleaning up the area as much as we can.
Great. The term is voluntold in case.
Yeah. Well, that's how I'll say it to them. So yeah.
Well, congratulations. We're very happy for you. Look forward to dropping by.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Other comments, questions, thoughts? So for those of you who are here and will hopefully come next month, this room is not available apparently. And so we are meeting at I believe the address is 30. Okay. And it's on the second floor.
Yeah, it's a lovely space.
And it's a new space. But you will not be here. We'll put a little sign on the door saying go over there, but don't be surprised. We're gonna be there.
It's right, the entrance is under the flag when you are in the circle.
Facing this one.
Yeah, you go, so the entrance. is
There'll be
over
more info.
Going north, yeah.
Right.
And I think you have to show ID to get in there.
Yeah, well, if you, I
Your name
would
is on
imagine if you just say you're the Wharf District Council, they'll let you
Well,
on.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
5 names.
Oh, do you?
Well, we'll give the names.
That's Hannah, she's very strict.
But I'm gonna give them a huge list.
Yeah, do. Okay, perfect.
Great. Dean, maybe we'll be able to see you then. I don't know if that your March will have you here, but we'll look forward to that as well.
The 18th, right?
As long as I have a date, I will be there.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Anybody else? Any questions, comments, thoughts? Stay warm, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.